Okay, now it shows that it's on. I actually stopped the stream. Okay, our team pressure. Okay, just okay. Okay, so I'm assuming that we probably are on Facebook, I guess. Let me see if we are there. It shows we're actually streaming somewhere. I just don't know where. Yeah, it looks like it's there. Let's see what happens here. Shalom. Let me just click play. Oh yeah, cool.
Failed to
hold on
to make it happen.
Let me make this. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of keep going. We'll keep this on Facebook, but not on YouTube. So I don't know what's going on. I actually had to reinstall my software yesterday, early yesterday, and because I just had so many things that I've had to do to it. Kept piling on, and then they upgraded, and all my old stuff didn't jive with the new stuff, so I actually had to uninstall it all and reboot everything. So I'm still playing it out right now. We're going to see if it's still actually going to record. So if anybody out there is watching, you are in YouTube. Okay, great. That's great. That's where we'll stay then. I'll just put up a link for anybody who wants to watch on YouTube. Copy. Give me 1 minute. And again, like I said, if there's not going to be a testimony, but I can tell you a bit about mine if you want, or you can ask questions, whatever the case may be. Remind me later. So we've been working on this setup for almost an hour already, just trying to get it all here. And for some reason, it just wasn't going to work with us. So on the Facebook, actually it was working fine on Facebook until I saw it alarm out. It was like a false negative, I guess. And so I turned it off to turn it back on, and now it's not going to record on Facebook. That's okay though. I'll just put the link there available for everybody so they can see it. If you give me 1 second. The phone line is open, by the way, so you guys probably should call. Somebody should call in and spare me any kind of boredom. Caller ringer is open, 855-95-BIBLE. So if you guys want to give me a buzz, I'll put that number on your screen right now. That way you can have it. So basically we've got, I think, interviews are set up all the way through the end of September so far, and it's one a week that's going to carry us that far. By then we'll have a lot more, which will be quite handy. Okay, so I'm going to leave that phone number on the screen until somebody calls, and I'm going to see if I can resolve the Facebook issue real fast. See, the benefit, well, actually not a benefit, the bad thing about doing all of this individually, especially when I don't even have a guest, is you get to see how distracted I actually really am. So let's see. Let me just take this off. I'm just going to put a new link here. Paste. And done editing. Let's put that there and just see if anybody wants to go there. Paste. Let's see if they can click that too. Okay, so I know you guys have got to have questions. I know you're not just hanging out here to watch me jibber jabber. So, yay, got a video again. Good. Okay, so yeah, it looks like we're live on YouTube, but not Facebook. That's okay. Don't really care as long as it goes up somewhere. Okay, there's a call. I will certainly rather hear y'all ask questions or talk to me. Hey, welcome to the show. What's going on? What's your name? Who am I speaking with?
Hey, Will, it's Lou. Lou Town.
Hey, Lou. Man, it's been a long time, brother. How are you?
Fantastic.
Good.
Catching you here on YouTube.
Nice. Yep, that's good. There's another caller. Did you have a question or anything?
No, I just called in to say hi, and
Well,
I know
appreciate
you were
that.
looking for some conversation, so
Hey,
there's
man.
an important question.
That's awesome. I appreciate that, man.
Let's have it.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you
Let's
soon,
have at
okay? Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye. This is William. Obviously, you knew that. Please tell me your name and where you're calling from.
Hey, William, it is Todd calling from Regina, Canada. How you doing?
Todd, welcome. How are you tonight? I'm actually feeling a little awkward.
I'm doing great, man.
I'm used to having guests here, so since there's no guest, it's like I'm not sure where we're going to go with this thing. So having you guys call in with questions is much better for me. So what's going on tonight?
Hey, Will. Will? Hello?
Can you hear me? I think it just switched to...
Yes, I do. Yeah, Will. Yeah, Will. Hi, Stephen Rock. How are you?
Oh, you know what? You're actually listening to... Can you hear me still on the phone?
Yes, I can. Perfect.
Is this Lou?
Will, I hear you perfectly. Hello?
Okay, yeah, I'm still here. Who am I speaking with?
Yeah, hi, it's Stephen Roth. How are you?
Oh, Stephen, how
Hey,
are
you
you?
well.
I'm doing fine. I think
Great.
I answered and hung up. The
Well,
phone just started ringing like crazy, and I was trying to click to see how they would respond. I think I hung up on like two different people. Sorry, man. Good to have you back, brother. How are you?
I have a question. I have
Sure.
a question for you. I've always been fascinated by you with your story. Are you comfortable with talking about it a little bit, like how you met up with Rabbi Singer,
Oh,
how
certainly.
you had the guts to do what you did? Because honestly, I'm not trying to butter you up, but I'm just like amazed by you. You are like wow, you know, you're like a modern day like a Ramavino. Like you just like abandoned it all, threw it all out the window, and you didn't care. And I'm just like blown away. And I think a lot of us would love to hear a little bit about that. And if you can go into that, and I'll let you go on. I'll hang up and I'll listen if you're okay with that.
Yeah, sure. That's fine, Stephen. Thank you, brother. And I'll kind of.
And wait, one more thing I want to tell you.
Sure.
I want to tell you this. I'm going to say this online. If after 120, when I get up to the next road, I should be so lucky as to stand next to you, Rabbi Singer. That is my wish, that I'd be able to even be next to you up there.
Oh my gosh,
And we could drink
maybe Rabbi
coffee.
Singer.
We could drink coffee up there.
I'm pretty sure I'll be the one serving coffee.
Well,
Thank you, brother.
we could take turns. You know,
Hey,
we
that'll
don't have to fight
about it. That's great. Okay,
Thank
brother.
you so much.
You bet.
You're a real topic. Thank you so
hey,
much.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks.
We'll
Have a
talk to you
good one. I'll listen in.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Okay, that's fine. He's too I guess you could say liberal with his comments or with his compliments there. Anyway, yeah. So people have asked me the question on how this whole Tanakh Talk thing started, and I don't mind telling you guys. So I was into doing the preaching thing for a long time, and then when I finally left idolatry, when I left the Christian church behind, I actually went from Christianity into Messianic Judaism for about 4 years. My father's a Bible. I'm going to skip a lot of stuff that I think I've already just told you in my testimony that was done a couple of years ago. You can always go back if you want to know where that link is. I'll give it to you. So I go into this Messianic movement for about 3.5, 4 years, and then I finally left that behind too. I was in, again, another video. So after about, I think, a year or so of me being out, of course, Rabbi Tovia Singer is one of the key features that actually helped me come out. I ran from him for a long time because I knew what he taught, and I was like, I don't want to go there. But eventually, I decided I wanted to know for myself for sure whether it was true or not, and so I researched it. There's another book called Leaving Jesus by James Wood Jr. If you guys don't have that book, it's a fantastic book. You should buy about 10 copies of it and just keep it on hand and give it out to somebody. It's an easy read. I don't know if I've got a copy of it right on my desk here or not, but yeah, I do. It's right here, actually. So if you don't have this, look it up. It's really a great book, Leaving Jesus by James Wood Jr. You can get it on Amazon. So I don't have any benefits to selling you this book. I just know it's a great book and you'll like it. It'll do you well. Anyway, after all that happened, and I finally did come out, I reached out to Rabbi Tovia Singer one time, and I just asked him if he would be willing to travel here. At the time, I think he was in Israel, I believe, I think it was in Israel, and so I went in ahead of time, and I kind of knew my homework a little bit. I knew it was going to cost a couple grand just for flights, and I really, really wanted to know if he would be willing to. Color, I'll be right with you. Hang on one second. If he would be willing to actually travel down here to some stranger's house or to some stranger's group to see if he would actually do a lecture, and I'll pick back up on that in just a minute. So, Color, welcome to the show. Please tell me your name and where you're calling from.
Hey there, William. It's Todd calling from Regina, Canada.
I hung up on you, I think. I'm sorry about that. What happened there?
You know what? I was grooving to the tunes, and then all of a sudden everything got quiet. So I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to call right back.
Gotcha. Okay, go ahead. What's the question or comment?
Well, you know, I was actually just watching one of your previous videos with the whole Noahide, idea, right?
Right.
And I think I'm kind of fitting into that. I have to say, I'm kind of blown away by watching you and Tovia Singer and Michael Skobac and a lot of people that have totally enlightened me. And I'm sort of at a bit of a crossroads now because I grew up in I actually grew up in Catholic,
Okay.
And then, in my 20s, started looking at Protestant, religion, way of looking at things. And, some of it made sense, some of it didn't make sense. Now I'm hearing a different version of the story, and I'm comparing Paul with what Paul said with what Jesus said. And, it's just not adding up at all in my mind anymore.
Right.
And, I've always considered myself to be a big believer in God. There's I can't really see any other way of looking at it than there had to have been a creator at some point,
Sure.
The other details I'm not as clear about, but I mean, to me, it takes more faith to believe that there wasn't a creator than there was.
Right.
That's always kind of the way I've looked at it,
That
right?
That is so
And now I'm looking at it.
well said.
I appreciate that. It really, we can talk about faith. I mean, that seems to be the big case for what Paul said. He was a big guy on faith, but if you really think about it, I mean, I think faith is kind of a given. Like either you believe or you don't. So if you believe, well, then I don't know that that's the basis. So I'm really at a crossroads right now. I was watching a little bit of one of your videos that you had done with one of the rabbis about, the Noahides and the understandable reluctance of rabbis to go, what are these people doing here?
Right.
They're not really understanding it, and they don't have much precedent to go on. I mean, up to this point, they would have been, fearful, and at the very least kind of going, there again, what are these guys doing here? But the fact of the matter is, I think we are into a different age now, and there's, after X number of years, there's a lot of Christians and Christianity, and there people are, they're still faithful people. They have a belief in God, but they're just not necessarily buying, into what they were raised. And so now I'm looking at it, and if I'm understanding of what a Noahide is, I think that's kind of me, the righteous Gentile, or at least to the best of my ability to be that righteous Gentile.
Right.
And obviously that, is no small challenge to anyone if they're being honest, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, so if I can, I don't want to take up your time too much, but, I guess my question is kind of in the search to kind of move forward, and I actually I'm blessed to know the rabbi in my city of Regina here, and there is only one, and he's a great guy, and we've known each other for years, and we've known each other long enough where I was pretty much a committed Christian, and I actually I told him of my questions recently, and he was kind of chuckling to himself, and it was very encouraging to explore, and there again, read your Bible.
Right.
That's what he would always say. Read your Bible. And that kind of left me scrambling and humbled in a lot of ways. So anyway, I don't know if any of what I've said makes any sense there to you, but I just that's kind of how I'm feeling today.
That's okay. A little bit. Well, so I'll try to answer it as quickly and as in a tight a package as possible. But basically, for people who have come out of Christianity, their next move hopefully will be to continue their pursuit of following the one God, the true God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And in doing so, they don't need to convert to Judaism to do that. Now, if a person is compelled and they just gotta convert to Judaism, then they need to start studying it out, find out what it's going to take to convert, and get in that mode. And then if their path, if their draw doesn't weaken over this time period, and they're still just as strong with that decision a year from now, from after their studies, as they were prior to that, then by all means convert to Judaism, right? But if you want to remain a righteous Gentile, Noahide, I guess different terms that people use, that there's absolutely perfect to do that as well. There is no need or requirement to convert to Judaism to be in an upright relationship with Hashem, with the Creator. So for you, I would say for sure, keep studying your Bible, for sure. Go to your synagogue if they'll let you go and study with them, or whatever the case may be, and just keep doing your thing, and keep doing acts of kindness for people, and when somebody, be a light also. You can be a light even though you may not be Jewish. You can still be a light for the nations, in the sense that when people ask you questions, don't go proselytizing. I don't recommend anybody going around passing out flyers and like that, but just when people actually talk to you about it, or the opportunity presents itself, plant the seed. Just be that light. Turn that, flick on that, flick your bick, if you will, and let that light shine a little bit. You know what I mean? And that's pretty much as simple as it is. A lot of, and like you said, it's no small thing. There's they call them the Noahide laws, the 7 Noahide laws, but there's actually more like 65 to 70 that are active laws that someone like you and I would need to be following. And for the person who says, well, I want to be Jewish, I want to follow all the laws, well, you can't anyway. In fact, if you deduct all of the laws that pertain to living in the Holy Land, if you deduct all the laws that pertain to the temple and all these other things, the Jewish person today doesn't have many more than that to begin with. So it's a pretty big task we're taking on by saying, you know what, I'm going to stay a righteous Gentile and I'm going to follow Hashem. I'm going to be the best person that I can be and study Hashem and keep changing and keep growing along the way. And that's all He expects of you. And when you do that, man, you're going to be in His graces forever, no doubt.
Yeah. No, I appreciate your words this evening, wil'Liam, and I want to say once again how grateful I feel about finding your series of conversations that you've had with theological giants. Really, I've been humbled in a way that I can't even express. So I just want to say to you, thank you. I know we're both learning a lot, but man, you've got a few doors open here. I was going to say you've kicked down a few doors, but I mean, however they got opened, right. And I've been blessed to spend some time in Texas, and I love the people of Texas, and I love a lot of the things of Texas, and I hope to come back again soon. So but I do want to thank you and thank you for opening my eyes, and I've got more questions than answers, quite honestly, at this point.
That's okay. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. I mean, through messaging, email, whatever the case may be. Are you on Facebook?
Right. Actually, I'm one of the few people that aren't. But that was been a bit of a conscious decision, and I've weighed that out a lot of times too. But we won't go there.
That's okay. Just remember this email address. You can go back and rewatch it again. I'll put it on your screen, but I got to stop because I can't multitask very well. So, but it's TanakTalkQuestions@gmail.com. TENAKTALK questions@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And just say, hey, I'm the guy who called in, Todd, whatever, and just let me know it, and just use that as a resource to contact me through questions. And if it's something you want me to address with Rabbi Singer, or if it's something you want me to try to answer, just be kind of clear on that, okay?
I totally appreciate that.
You bet.
I'll probably take you up on that. So you have a good evening, sir.
Okay.
It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you. You as well. Thank you for calling in. Shalom, shalom.
All right.
Okay, cool. Somebody else did call in, but it went to, again, multitasking is not my greatest strength there, especially when it comes to doing like 10 things at once without having a guest actually on the show. Okay, picking back where I left up, I don't want to forget about Mark's question after this caller. Here we go. Caller, welcome to the show. Please tell me your name and where you're calling from.
Howdy, wil'Liam. It's Shmuel.
Shmuel, how are you, brother?
Brooklyn, New York.
Wonderful.
And that was me who called before.
I'm sorry. Oh, the one I didn't answer. Gotcha. Thanks for calling back.
It said phone lines open, so I was wondering.
You know what? It's one of those things. There's people don't realize how much it takes, how much attention it takes to not listening to the callers, to just run the show. So I decided to just put the phone line up there and just let it sit because for me to stop, I literally have to stop talking and look and click like 4 or 5 buttons. And while I'm not talking, and people are going to be like, why isn't he talking? So I figure I'm just going to leave it alone. And if they call and it goes to voicemail, sorry guys, that's what happens when I don't have a guest on the show. So Shmuel, what can I do for you, brother?
Well, first of all, your son seems so nice. Have him run the what's it called, the switchboard.
The producing there's a lot to it, and we've tried a few times, but I think maybe in a few years, whenever he's kind of like more 15-ish, something like that, he might be able to focus a little bit more. Plus our schedules don't always work out either, because sometimes they do homeschooling on Sundays, so it kind of depends. Like a lot of times at nighttime they're homeschooled. Sometimes we'll go till 9, 10 o'clock at night, because my wife, man, she is just man, she's just wonderful. She doesn't let them just fill out answers. She wants to make sure they know what they're doing. She quizzes them on it. She makes sure they've got it memorized. So it takes them a lot longer to go through school. So, but anyway, that's a great idea, and that is the plan eventually, is to move him into the producer's seat so I can just kind of do the hosting. So anyway, good wisdom from you. Thank you.
There you go. I watched your testimony a while back, and I was amazed. You have a fantastic family. You really do.
Thank you.
You know, that willing to give up on everything that they had been, you know, geared towards, and then all of a sudden, you know, to do like a 180 and to follow you along. I'm telling you, your family is very special people.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I feel very honored to be a part of their family. Trust me, it's amazing.
And I feel honored to call you a friend.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. After leaving Christianity, of course, the ones who used to call me friends pretty much stopped for the most part. Of course, there's new things that have been occurring over this past year that I can add to my next testimonial catch-up date. But yeah, in the beginning, it was pretty tough, man. So thank you for calling me your friend. That means a lot.
I'll tell you something about that. You should know that in a way, it's actually a blessing, because you find out who your true friends are,
right,
when things are not going as well as the relationship is about.
Agreed completely.
And and by the way, it's interesting. In the Talmud, it actually speaks about this. In the Mishnah, in chapters of the Fathers, Pirkei Avos, it actually speaks about there's two types of love. There's the love of that it speaks about, which is the love of Amnon and Tamar, which it speaks about, and of course we know what happened with Amnon and Tamar, that where Amnon ends up raping his sister, and obviously, and then he ends up hating her afterwards. I mean, the Talmud explains why she actually castrated him, and it's a little more complicated than just the simple text. But the point is that a love that's attached to something, rather than a love that is selfless, is not a love that's going to stand. However, the love that's selfless. Right, and that was, and the Talmud uses the example of David and Jonathan, those two friends. That it says that they loved each other even more than a man could love a woman. Their love was so great that it was so pure and so unjudgmental. I mean, here, if you think about it, what was King David doing? King David was basically usurping what Jonathan would have ended up having. After King Saul, who was going to inherit the throne? It was going to be Jonathan, and that's what King Saul says to him. He says to Jonathan, how you're going against your own throne, your own kingdom. You're going against,
right?
And yet that was his love for David. That was a pure love. So those are the types of people that you want as friends. You don't want the people who are.
Yeah. That's very true. That's very true. I'll talk a little bit about that too whenever I pick back up on Mark's request for my story with Rabbi Singer and how all that played out. So, brother, thank you so much for calling in, and it's good talking to you. I love seeing your activity on YouTube a lot. So just keep on tuning in, brother.
Sure. Have a good one, man.
Okay, you too. Bye. You too. Okay, so real quickly, guys, what I'm going to do, just for a moment, actually, let me cancel that. I'm going to, because I realize jumping around in the story may actually be very difficult for people to follow. So I'm going to, I just muted the phone call, so don't call. In fact, let me put this on screen as per someone actually requested. Phone lines. I'm just going to put this up right now, so don't call in while you see this on screen, okay? So I'm going to finish this part of the story real quick as requested, and we can go, as long as you guys keep watching, I might go for a couple hours, who knows? So there'll be time for more people to call in once I finish this up. I'll keep it shorthand as possible. Okay, so basically after all leaving Christianity and avoided Rabbi Tovia Singer for so long and others, my wife got this book, Leaving Jesus, and after I've done some research already and then I read this book, it's like that was kind of like the final nail in the cross for me. I hate to say it that way, but and so I reached out to Rabbi Singer to see if he would come this way and to find out how much it would cost. Like I said, I already knew that it was going to cost some money if he was living out of the country, so I figured, at least a couple grand, maybe more, and that's kind of what it ended up being. And so that never happened. So then I had a friend of mine, Lon Cherry Holmes Jr., lives in Dallas. He's a convert. And he came down. He offered to come down and give a lecture because this dude is a brilliant guy, man. Fluent in Hebrew, great with the oral law and all kinds of stuff. So we did a lecture there, posted some pictures and notes on Facebook, and then I was a friend with Ira Michelson on Facebook, who's just sent me a message just a minute ago. Anyway, and so I invited him down because I knew he was coming to Houston. I said, hey, why don't you stop by here if you want to? Actually, he offered, I think, and I was like, my gosh, that would be great because he's counter missionary as well. So he came. We had a wonderful time, and then off to Houston. That went, and so a couple months passed, maybe 5-6 months passed, and I decided to reach out to Rabbi Singer again, ask him when he was coming to the States. I figured if he's already coming here, maybe I can save some money because I didn't have any money to give him. So make a long story short, he actually made a trip to go to Houston, and I invited him here on his way, and I just asked him if he wanted to reroute. I've said if you come to Austin instead of Houston, you can come do your lecture here, and then I can drive you to Houston the next day to his lecture there with Dr. Craig Evans at HBU. And so that was the plan. So he agreed. And so he sent like 10 sets of books here for people and stuff. I mean, it was fully set up and ready to go. And at the last minute, his flight got canceled. The one flight that was going to take him to Houston, to Austin, got canceled. He had to get on a different flight that actually took him straight to Houston. So make a long story short, I keep saying that over and over again. Sorry about that. So anyway, I already went to Austin to pick him up. Picked him up a nice little kosher meal, which I enjoyed later, by the way. And then after I was in Austin waiting for him, I finally got the final word that his flight was being rerouted. So I turned around, drove an hour and a half back home, and we still, a lot of the people had already left because they knew that it was getting really delayed and they had to get back home for certain times. A lot of them stayed. When I got back home, we decided to have just to hang out and eat food and talk and stuff. After I got back, Rabbi Singer called me on the phone and said, hey, man, I'm really sorry, blah, blah, blah. And then he could hear the people talking in the background. And he said, well, are they still there? Are all the people still at your house? I said, yeah, a lot of them are. He goes, can you put me on like a Skype call? And I was like, yeah, sure, we could do that. So we put up a big screen and had a speaker in the room where he could talk, and people in the room began just asking him questions one at a time. And it was so cool. I mean, he could see them, they could see him. And it was amazing. We had an amazing night. I actually have that recorded on a low budget recording, but absolutely phenomenal. And then and he stayed on the phone with us for like as long as he possibly could. He was walking through the airplane, and the stewardess was telling him, "Sir, you need to turn your phone off now," or whatever, his laptop. He was so dedicated to keep this thing going as long as possible. And so anyway, moving forward, went to Houston the next day. Me and my friend Lon and another friend Nahon, and we went there, and I met a handful of Facebookers there in Houston at HBU. And, of course, I brought my camera. I can't go anywhere without my camera. And my friend Lon was like, dude, you need to stop. Like, you're stalking this guy, right? And I'm like, I don't know what you call it, but I knew I was going to get some video footage of this rabbi, this, like, super rabbi. I was so stoked and just so excited about the entire thing. There wasn't anything going to stop me with trying to get my own questions answered by this guy, direct face-to-face. And, ironically speaking, after the whole debate between him and Dr. Craig Evans, we were walking out and asked him if they wanted to kind of go and just meet at Starbucks so we could hang out and visit for a little while. So Rabbi Singer and I are walking down the sidewalk to the car, and he's talking back and forth with me about what happened the night before here. I think he was so moved by that whole Skype intervention with all these people. He told me, he says, William, he goes, here's what I want you to do. He goes, I want you to set up a Skype call so that I can answer questions for people like on a regular basis. And I was like, yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly what I want to do. Now, I'm going to pause it for a second. I'm going to go back about 4 years. About 3 or 4 years ago, right whenever I was leaving the Christianity and moving into the Messianic movement, I found out there was someone who was doing podcasts and things like this. And I so wanted to do that to begin with because I've been a preacher before, Messianic teacher in the whole nine yards. And I just felt I felt really inclined that I wanted to keep teaching or reaching out to people at least. And so I picked the ball up, but I had no clue how to do anything. So just as quickly as I grabbed it, I just dropped it. I had no clue how to do it or even where to get started. So now moving back forward, the 4 years to the present day of that particular time slot, we basically arranged. I called my friend Travis, the guy who's actually responsible for creating To Knock Talk, even the logo you see behind me here. He did all that stuff, got the website all rocking and rolling. So after I called him up and I said, hey man, Rabbi Singer wants me to do a Skype session with other people. And I was like, but I don't know how to do any of that stuff. And I said, I don't have any equipment. He goes, I got this. So, but before I could even make it home, he had already had the 800 number lined up. He had the website built, the whole 9 yards. And he goes, now we got to do is set up the camera and do some test runs. And so in a matter of about 2 weeks, we did our first recording. And it's so humbling. It's like, wow, I can't believe that happened. Anyway. So we did our first recording, and of course the whole Tanakh Talk, as the whole idea behind it was, I didn't want this to just be limited to one show. I wanted it to be more global. So that's why we called it Tanakh Talk instead of giving it a specific title that's more directly associated to one topic. And that's how it's been ever since. And so once all that took place, after about 20 episodes with Rabbi Singer, I reached out to Rabbi Skobac, and he agreed, and we started our journey with the New Testament. And before you know, it was just one thing after another. And to be honest with you, listening to you guys tell me how amazed you guys are. While you're telling me, I'm getting excited, but deep inside, for me, it's just like I've got a job to do, and I know that I'm willing to do whatever it takes to actually get that done for the most part. And I don't know, that's just kind of where it's at. And so you have to remember, every week, all I see is a camera and my computer. I don't see faces. I see names on chat, but I don't have relationships with people on Facebook. Meaning that I don't see what y'all see, because I'm the one behind the camera, not watching it on a TV screen. So I guess for me it's good, because it kind of keeps me more humbled down, and to not, because it's not about me. It's and y'all know this as well. I mean, this is and it's realistically, it's not even about the rabbis. It's literally about getting the information to people who need it, and that's what these wonderful teachers are doing for all you guys. And I'm grateful to be a part of it. I mean, and I'm just a small part. Like I told Mark on the phone earlier, I was like, maybe, or whoever I was talking to, meeting, in the end times, or when that time comes, we're gathered around the heavenly gates and stuff, drinking coffee. I'll probably be the guy pouring the coffee, serving, waiting on tables. But I don't really care. I don't care. I'm just glad to be a part of it. So, and as far as the family part goes, when we left Christianity, what was driving me so strong there was, I was very much, I was studying my Bible so much, like on a regular basis, that when I would talk to people, they would give me, I mean, even before I left Christianity, they were giving me answers that just didn't make sense at all. And I was so confident in the answers that I had, because it all made sense. I mean, they say it doesn't have to make sense, you just have to have faith, but that's nonsense. And so for me, it was like, I don't know, I was determined. I was determined to find the truth and to surround myself with people who could share knowledgeable, intelligible information with me, and that's just kind of what drove me. So whenever it came time for choosing Hashem over my family, not my immediate family, but my extended family, it was pretty easy for me to do. They may give you different reasons why. Maybe they don't think I've been much of a family person to begin with. I'm not really sure, and maybe that's true. I don't know. I'm just glad that I was able to put them aside and focus on studying, because I understand a lot of you out there don't have that ability, because maybe your connection with your mom and dad is way stronger than mine ever thought about being, and therefore you can't break that tie. I get that, and so there probably is a lot of truth to me being able to cut off. I was raised in an abusive household. After I was 5 years old, my mom and my biological father split, and my biological father was the preacher turned into Messianic teacher sort of a thing, and my mother married a guy who was not a godly man at all. alcohol. He was a partier, and he was very physically and mentally and emotionally abusive. And so that cut me off from trusting people as a young child growing up that way. And it may have hardened my heart to not being open to really letting people get in. And maybe that's why it was so easy for me to do that. I just thank God that he gave me a wife that was willing to stand and study with me. And she was dedicated Catholic her whole life, and I went and screwed all that up for her. but she's very much a godly person. She always has been, very dedicated. So, okay, so I think that's going to answer all your questions on that. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to turn the phone lines back up now where I can actually hear. Okay, so if you guys want to call back in now, you can. I'll kind of dabble a little bit more. Let me get this thing where it's not going to blast too loud. Okay, so I'm going to change the status here of the caller on, and I'm going to put the phone number back up on screen again. And this is a perfect example why I don't do this while I'm talking, because I actually have to stop and look over things. There's like 50 choices to choose from. There it is right there. Make that go live. Bada boom, bada bing. And just so you ain't got to stare at the same screen over and over again, we'll kind of switch it up a little bit for you. Because it's kind of what this is all about, saying no to Jesus, And it may sound smart alecky, but realistically, that's what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like people say all the time now, they're saying, well, I'm right on the edge of tipping out of the New Testament, and I'm really, really scared. Realistically, if you would pause and just listen to yourself say that and think, if you're scared from leaving the New Testament behind, you're scared to move forward. If you'll just acknowledge for a minute that what you found out so far is all this is a lie, and you're scared because of a threat that you heard, right? Moving forward, you're finding out is true. So realistically, your fear should not be leaving; it should be staying. You should really, as you find out these truths, you really should just advance and just keep moving. And you know what I mean? And always keep an open mind. Like I told Rabbi Federow last night, I keep an open mind even now. When I talk to Christians now who want to discuss with me or debate with me, I don't really debate people, but if they want to talk about topics or a verse or whatever, I listen with a very open mind and an open ear, because I'm hoping that they'll tell me something that I've never heard before. Because if they do, maybe that'll give me something to think about. But in 4 years, that's never happened, and that's kind of where it's at. What is up with this? Okay, the phone line is open. I wasn't sure what was happening here, but there we go. So if you guys want to call in, you can. I don't know if anybody's even still watching yet, or even if I'm still connected. Yeah, there's 47 of you there. Okay, so let's see. I'll take a quick glance at the text. Let's see. I disagree. Let's see. You will be at the... Oh, you're so cool. Shmuel. That's right. It was Shmuel who talked about the coffee. That's awesome. Okay, let's see. I'm going to see if I can find any question. Hey, if you guys have a question for me, you don't want to call in, tag me as Tanakh Talk on here. And because what I'm going to do, I'm going to scroll real fast, and anywhere I see Tanakh Talk, then I'll look at that and see what it says. But there's way too many comments to actually read everything here, because y'all would just be sitting here watching me doing nothing but read really slowly. Thank you, Anthony. He says you have good friends here. I do believe that with all my heart. It's really awesome. Steve, love Tanakh Talk. It's my spiritual cup of coffee. Steve, that's awesome. Love it, man. Let's see. Moving up here. There's another one by Fernando Colon. Fernando, I love seeing your activity, man. Stay close, okay? Let's see. Randy Reese is commenting on a post. I don't think the Facebook video is open though, and I don't know. I know why, but it was too late for me to do anything for it. So, okay, moving forward. There we go. Anthony Pereira. I asked a question earlier. Okay, let me take this call, and we will, if I can figure out how to answer it. Where is my mouse? There it is, right there. Hey, welcome to the show. Please tell me your name. Where you're calling from.
Hello, William. This is Fernando from South Carolina.
Fernando, how are you, brother?
I'm doing good. Enjoying this night.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I thought people were bored out of their minds since it's just me sitting here. So that's good. I'm glad you called in.
I got a brief question to you.
Sure.
I don't know exactly how long you've been, I know you said it just now, but how long you've been out of Christianity. But now that you're outside, when you look back in, do you see with more clarity like the fanatism involved in those, in the different denominations of Christianity? Like I consider, for example, Christianity like a death cult, or a religion that's based on melancholy, makes people sad, makes people low, so they can become like easy prey. Yeah.
Right. Well, I will tell you, and you can stay on the phone for me because I might not cover everything you're asking.
Mhm.
But it is really hard to see everything, the big picture, when you're right in the middle of it. You really have to back away. It's just like a map, Google Maps. I mean, you can zoom way into one street. You have no idea where you're at unless it sounds familiar until you zoom out and see the context of what else. The further out you get, the more clearly you can see oftentimes. And so for me, it was I was very surprised at what I found out after I left Christianity, because staying in the field that I'm in the counter-missionary field, I'm constantly looking into Christianity, and so but not from within, but from without now, and so seeing how like mainstream Christianity is based on driving people's emotions so they make that emotional connection. That's why they do praise and worship. That's why they have all these, they get you in the mood, these pep talks before and after, and they reach out to you saying, if you've been hurt before, you've been on drugs and all this other stuff. They give these altar calls that are supposed to connect with you emotionally, and that's what the entire thing is about. It's either about the emotional connection for fulfilling a sadness and making that happy, or fear scaring you away from hell. And both of those are both emotional decisions that people make by the millions, and they just don't understand. And so, yeah, it's definitely very easy to see as from a further away, especially. You can definitely see that pattern going on.
Wow, thank you so much, William, for all you're doing.
Okay, brother. Thank you, man. Yes.
One little feedback. Your phone sounds great. I could hear you very clear.
Oh,
Thank
wonderful.
You.
Thank you. Glad we got that fixed.
Okay.
Okay, brother. Thank you. Good deal. Okay, so Anthony, there you go. The question was asking, when was the aha moment when you understood the true nature, the oneness of Hashem? It wasn't a moment, Anthony. It was more of a progression. It started off with questions, right? And so for me, that first question was, pardon me, my nose started itching. For me, that question was stimulated around Pesach, around Passover, the Easter story, And y'all all already know the story, and I don't want to waste a whole lot of airtime explaining what I went through. But I just, as I began to try to prepare sermons for my groups that would come every year for Passover, less and less questions were being answered, and it was something that I had to postpone. So it's like I would prepare for Passover, and I was like, I got to put Jesus in here somehow. I know he fits somehow, and then the more I was studying, I'm like, but he doesn't fit. And Passover and Easter is the same thing, according to Christianity and their understanding. And so it's like, so that year I would say, well, I'll just do the normal thing. The first year I was just like, I'm just going to do a normal Seder and just forget I even looked into it and just do it and move on. And I said, after Passover, I'll research it again. Second year came around, same thing. This time I was kind of like more curious, because the more I studied, the more excluding it was to be able to fit them in. And so I started reaching out to people, to teachers, Messianic teachers, and they would tell me these answers. I'm thinking, oh my God, this is the same. Pardon me, it's the same crap that I was taught years ago. Even in the Messianic circle, they still connect a lot of these things the same way. And so by the third year, I basically canceled it altogether. I said, that's it. I'm not doing one. Closing down everything. I stopped teaching Hebrew classes. That came later. But I canceled my Shabbat services. I was like, after a while, I was like, we just can't do this anymore. So we eventually shut everything down. And that's when kind of Tanakh Talk started taking off. So, okay. So caller, welcome to the show. Please tell me your name, where you're calling from. Caller, are you still on the phone with us? Hello? Usually there's like the 20-second lag. They'll probably hear me in a few seconds. If not, I'm going to hang up and open the phone lines. So that would be the true nature of Hashem. Yeah, so that's kind of where it was at. And Anthony, it just kind of kept going on from there. One thing after another, after another, after another. So that's kind of how it was. Okay, so whoever it was, they laid the phone down, and then they just hung up. Phone lines are open again. I'm going to leave that up on screen, even if I get a call. All right. Roll eyes. Mia Indigo at... Oh, you had the Bitachon when Obama was president. That's funny. Okay. Let's see. I'm not seeing anything. Oh, I see my name in there somewhere. 1 second. William, are you a Noahide or did you convert? Sean Gibson. Okay. Remember, guys, if you have questions for me, I almost didn't see that. If you have a question for me on YouTube chat, tag me with Tanakh Talk that way, because it actually highlights in orange and I can see it really fast. I don't have to read through all the things looking for a name. No, I am still a B'nai Noach, a righteous Gentile, and most likely will probably stay in this position. If you want to know why, I can tell you. Anybody, I can go live. Doesn't matter, whatever the case may be. But no, we never have converted yet, and there is still a chance we might, but we just haven't. So here we go. Caller, welcome to the show. Please tell me your name, where you're calling from.
Yeah, hi, William. This is Roger from Philly. How's it going
Hey,
tonight?
hey, Roger. Welcome to the show. Doing well, thank you.
Awesome. So, I guess I kind of have a interesting question for you.
Okay, sure.
All right, so it's been, a few years since I left Christianity and all that, and I still have family who have a lot of questions about why I left. But my whole thing is, particularly, I think it's been the most hard for my mother, in particularly. And so I guess my real question is, I don't want to, I guess what's the word? Like offend or disrespect my mother if she has questions. But I guess I'm asking is, how do you think you should best handle family, who wonder about why you left?
First of all, my first question would be: do you live at home now? Have you moved out? Are you married? Do you have kids? Are y'all close? Give me a little context there.
Oh yeah, no. I've been moved out for like many years.
Okay.
But family's still pretty close, and I still have a pretty good relationship with them. But I guess, ever since I found out I left, my mother, in particularly, was like, you can't have the new without the old. So I guess it's been kind of tough on her.
Right. Well, you know what? The very first thing that came to my mind when you said that was, that's good that she said that, because as long as she can remember that she told you that, that gives you something to work with. Because many Christians that I've talked to, believe it or not, don't care what the Old Testament says. They believe because they've known it since they were a child. My daddy, my granddaddy, my great granddaddy, all these things. This is like in their family, right? But if she confessed herself that you can't have the new without the old, then that's where your tool of dropping your little hints for her in the appropriate times. That's where I would focus, and say, so just whenever, but don't go to her with anything. In fact, if it was me, I would never talk about religion to her at all, unless she brings it up. And if she brings it up, that's your invitation to discuss things with her. Hopefully it'll be with just you and her, not where you've got 4 against 1 sort of a thing, but a one-on-one would be nice. Your demeanor right now, to me, sounds very, very peaceful and very kind. And so that's going to play to your favor in general, period, in keeping the peace between you and your mom. So what I would say to do would be, Mom, you remember, well, if she mentions anything, say, Mom, you remember how you said, and every time you talk to her, I mean, if you talk to her once a week because she brings it up, every single time I would say, Mom, you remember you said you can't have the new without the old? Remind her that she said that, and then compare the old with the new to her whatever topic she's on. If she gives you something about the blood of Jesus, then talk to her. Say, Mom, you remember the Old Testament, blah, 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 and they say, well, Passover story didn't have anything to do with Jesus, and just start connecting. Find those priceless little spots and just cater to that. And don't stay there though. Just kind of drop it and just kind of give her a little truth jewel and then just let it go. Now, if she recommits to the conversation by asking you another question, then by all means, but be careful not to override it, because that may cause her to shut down altogether and just not talk to you about it at all, which is probably okay too eventually, but for the most part, keeping the peace in your family is really important. Here's a tricky spot. If they invite you over for Christmas, what do you do?
Oh, what do I do?
What do you do if they invite you over for Christmas? You don't want to hurt her feelings, right? You don't want to cause any trouble in the family.
I'll go over.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go over, enjoy time with them, and I'll try to focus on what we do still share in common, like art, music, anything like that. I try to stay away from religion with them, but I still try to.
Do they know that? Do they know you're trying to stay away from the religious part? Are they kind of aware of your separation?
Yeah, they know I'm a Noahide.
Okay, so with that said, let me interject something real quick. With that said, I don't recommend going over on Christian holidays because there's many reasons, but to cover the specific point I'm making, you've already said you don't want to engage with them over religious matters. Well, Christmas is a very religious matter, so.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? And you could say, hey, I'm a Noahide, I'm just going to come over, I'm the peaceful one, but it's really not getting you anywhere. It's not going to get you anywhere with them either. So you have to look at how that is going to affect you, and realistically, engaging in anything pagan for any reason really should be avoided. I would say, wait till make it obvious. Say, so I'm kind of tied up, but maybe the day after Christmas I'll come over and visit with you guys for a little while or whatever. But when they're doing these things, it's just really not good for your soul. Every time a person does something that involves pagan activity, you separate yourself that much further from the Father. You're just getting further and further away. Now, granted, you can come back, but the thing is, we want to keep moving forward. We don't want to back up. And so, if we look at it that way, it'll kind of help you make the decision with the more certainty. You know what I mean? So, So as far as the rest of it goes, just keep being nice to her like you are. Be willing at the drop of a hat to just drop a seed, but just don't stay there too long unless she's keeping you there. Then do it with kindness like you're doing with me now. That's you're on the right path, man.
All right, thanks a lot, man.
Hey, you bet, man.
Have a good rest of the show.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it very much. Okay, shalom. Okay, phone line's back open again. Phone number's staying on your screen, and now I'm looking to see if I missed anything. Oh, okay, so, see a lot of Tanakh Talk comments here. Let's see, Mimi, can I call in again? Yes, you can if you can get through. Coco Food. Why do you want to remain a Noahide instead of converting to Judaism? That's a great question. It is... I'm going to answer this phone call, but I'm going to turn the volume down just for a minute so I can answer this question real fast. It's not just a simple answer. Why do I want to remain a Noahide instead of converting to Judaism? There literally are dozens upon dozens of answers for that. One of the many answers is this: what I'm doing here with Tanakh Talk. And this is not the primary one, but this is just one of the ones that I had considered as well. Reaching people who are coming out of the church is a lot easier, a lot more effective to be done by someone who is not Jewish, someone who is born Jew or a Jew convert. They're a lot more closed off to that, and people say, well, why would you choose that over my own soul and how I want my soul to relate to God? And honestly, I think he considers that as well, because number one, I'm not Jewish. If he wanted me to be born as a Jew, I would have been born as a Jew, and so I'm very confident. One of the big reasons is because right now I am very confident in where we're at as Noahides, if you will. I'm not sure I like that term. Righteous Gentile may be cool. I'm not sure. I'm not opposed to it, but I've heard so many teachings on different aspects and different names for different groups and things like that. But why would I want to stay? Because I'm very confident where we're at, and I'm confident that Hashem is very pleased with where we're at in our walk and what we're doing. That's probably the best answer I could give you right now. But there's so many more features involved. Some of them have to do with struggles, some of them don't. But at the end of the day, thank you for asking. That's a good question, though. Okay, so let me let's see. Ryan Coyne asked a question too, but I've got someone on the phone. Let's see what the question is. Hi, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
It's Shmuel again.
Shmuel.
You said that
Yeah. Go ahead with your question.
Okay. Well, actually, I had asked it also on the thing, but I wasn't sure that you were going to see it. I need to go back now and 1 second. Hold on. Just give me a sec. Here we go. No, it wasn't really so much a question. It was basically a comment more on what the previous caller had said, that about how they end up getting to into a situation where they're coming up against a a brick wall, so to speak, almost, because it's really not like Rabbi Singer says. I agree so much with what he says that it's not the Christian's fault. It really isn't.
Agreed.
And as Jeremiah 16 says, only lies have our fathers inherited. It doesn't say only lies we have inherited.
Right.
It's our fathers who they say have inherited the lies, because the Christians today don't even know what Christianity is really about.
Sure.
And so the lies that they're going to confess to God, and they're going to say only lies have our fathers inherited, because they didn't even inherit the lies. The Christians have been duped into thinking things about what they are, and they don't know. I was just having a conversation today, and that's what you reminded me of, with a Christian lady, and I was talking to her, and I said to her the word Alma, in Isaiah 7, verse 14, and I said to her that does not mean virgin, the way Christians understand the verse, and her response was, well, do you believe Jesus was born of a virgin? And I'm thinking to myself, what does that have to do with the fact of what Isaiah said?
It's like, did you just totally not hear what I just told you?
Exactly.
And I think that happens a lot. They just know what they were taught, and they can't wrap their head around the fact that what they've learned are errors. They just can't fathom that. They think that their pastor can't be wrong. How can, so many people, how can, 10 or 50 million, 100 trillion people be wrong? And whereas Jesus himself, even in the New Testament, he says, many will say into that day, but says only few will actually enter the kingdom. It's like, well, few means on a pie chart, few is a tiny wedge, not the majority. And, unfortunately for them, Christianity is like the largest of the groups in that pie chart. All right, Smiley. Good point, man. All right, brother, I'm going to let you go. Thanks for calling in again, brother. Okay.
Have a good one.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
shalom, shalom. Bye-bye. Hey, welcome to the show. Please tell me your name. Where are you calling from?
My name is John.
Hello, John.
Calling
Welcome.
from California. I just had one quick question, William.
Sure.
What's that song in the beginning of your Tanakh talk? Because I really like it and I want to download it or get it.
It's actually it's a song by the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force. They have a series of songs that are copyright free. I don't know exactly how to get that to you. Rabbi Singer would be. He said
I could probably go on YouTube.
Okay.
And get it somehow. But what is it called again?
Actually, I don't even know what it's called. I know what the one he plays is. I just know it's called Song 7 on that lineup. It just says Song 7 is all I know. I don't even know what it's called. So I just like the way it sounds, though. All right, brother. Thank you. Sorry I couldn't be more helpful.
I really like it, too.
All right, I'll talk to you soon. Shalom, shalom. All right, good deal. Okay, so someone, let me back up here. I see, what about Messianics like Michael Rood? Okay, so what about Messianics like Michael Rood? Let me tell you something I did with him. Somebody, a friend of mine, a Christian friend of mine, who I used to be in the ministry with years ago, sent me a video clip. Or no, he sent me a YouTube link on a text message. He goes, "Hey man," he goes, I didn't know you were doing TV now or whatever he said, and he sent me this link, and it was actually Michael Rood had taken a clip from one of our shows. Not Michael Rood, I'm sorry. Wait a minute, you said Michael Rood, not Michael Brown. I'm sorry. Well, let me finish up with the Michael Brown part for Dr. Michael Brown. Anyway, I'll get to Michael Rood in just a minute. So Dr. Michael Brown had tried to take a little clip that he had made just of one question, and he tried to address Rabbi Singer and how he was so wrong in this thing. And so I watched this little video, and I could only get 5 minutes in. It was so ridiculous what he was saying. He spent the first 2 minutes trying to dismantle Rabbi Singer as being a credible person, quoting things that happened 20 years ago, trying to get people right off the bat to not believe in him. So, I mean, just his tactics alone are just nasty, downright nasty. And then he misquoted him in the video, and I actually put those quotes in the actual YouTube comments, about 6 different spots within a 5 or 6 minute period, and I just got disgusted with it. I just finally quit commenting. So anyway, make a long story short, that's how that ended. What about Michael Rood? Actually, what about Michael Rood? He's just another Messianic with his own ideas. It's all Messianic. It's all Messianic Christianity. I don't know how to answer that question because I don't know exactly what you're asking, South Rutherford. Okay, let's see. Let me scroll on down. There's no more tags down there. I did see one I think I missed earlier. Phone line is, like I said, still open. Okay, where's it? Tanakh Talk. How observant are you? Shabbat, etc. Okay, this is by Justin Gold. Okay, so we live about an hour and a half away from any Jewish community, and so on Saturdays I spend a lot of my time keeping in mind, I'm aware of the Noahide laws versus Shabbat and how that all works. So I do a lot of my studying. I do actually do online. I do a lot of preparations for Tanakh Talk. So during the day we'll read the Torah portion. Sometimes we'll just kind of hang out with the family, do some studying, whatever the case may be. But we definitely always keep Shabbat. We used to light the candles on Erev Shabbat and say all the brachot and everything, but we don't do that anymore because there's halakhic issues why we shouldn't, and I'm okay with that. So how Pesach, things like that, I get invited usually to someone's house for Pesach. Usually my friend Lon in Dallas has a Seder that he throws every year. We usually go there. So the holy days we participate in a normal routine, not in a halakhically observant like an Orthodox Jew would, but we still participate. And we acknowledge I pray, I say the Shema in the morning and the evenings. I used to wear tefillin. I don't do that anymore because I'm not permitted to do so. I have a Torah scroll, it's about 150 years old Torah scroll that we used to read from, and I've actually just got that. Every once in a while I'll pull that out and read from it, and I know there's probably halakhic issues with that, but that's something I'll have to be working through. But that's pretty much it. We're a very religious home in the sense of things. We put Hashem first in everything, and that's about the best answer I got, unless you have a specific question you want to ask. That's kind of just in general my answer for you. So, Coco says, are you in contact with the Jewish community of Austin, Texas? And the answer with that is no. I've been once or twice. I've got a friend who actually goes there. And I don't even remember the name of the group, but you are actually permitted to wear tefillin. Actually, I've heard like 3 different rabbis tell me I'm not, but we'll talk about that later. Welcome to the show. Please tell me your name. Where are you calling from?
It's Shmuel again.
Shmuel.
Sorry.
I feel like it's been forever since we've talked. So, gotcha.
Sorry.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead with your question.
Okay, it's not actually a question. You mentioned that you're not supposed to put on tefillin.
Right, as a Gentile, correct? As a righteous Gentile.
Really? My rabbi told me, and my rabbi is a big rabbi. He told me that there's nothing wrong as long as you don't say the benediction that Jews say when they put on the tefillin, because it says that you commanded me, so that you can't say. You're not commanded.
Oh, interesting.
Physically, on the tefillin, there's nothing wrong with doing that. I have a Noahide friend who used to be a minister, and he actually puts on tefillin.
Is he an Orthodox rabbi? Your rabbi?
Very much so.
Okay, that's good to know.
He's the deans of the Mirror Yeshiva. Ask Rabbi Singer, the Mirror Yeshiva. He knows the Mirror Yeshiva very well.
Nice. That's actually good to know. I'm gonna have to take that into heavy consideration. In fact, I'm gonna, now that you've mentioned it without saying the benediction ahead of time, and I'll present that again to my rabbis and see what they say. And that's pretty cool. Thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Thank you. You too. Bye bye. Okay, cool. So, looking for more questions here. A lot of your comments are commenting between y'all, and that's perfectly fine. See, Mimi. Shmuel said I once wrote to Dr. Michael Brown. This is Shmuel, by the way. Mimi on YouTube is Shmuel. We just got off the phone with him. He never answered, but he put me on his stupid man. That's funny. Oh my gosh. Okay, so as politely as possible. I don't even know if I should go there. But my biological dad, I said he was a Christian teacher for a long time, preacher, and then he went to Messianic, and he's a Messianic rabbi, technically, not legally, but he's given himself the title, and that's what everybody calls him. And I had the same thing with that too. I got to a point where I tried to unsubscribe from them, but they would not do it. They wanted to keep those emails coming. It's really interesting. Yeah. So, all right. I don't see any more comments or questions. Well, I see a lot of commenting, but just no questions. Phone line's open, guys. If you got anything else you want to ask it. I don't mind hanging out with you more. Not a problem at all. So if I happen to see something that y'all are commenting together that I can comment on, I'll just do that. Let me go back to make sure I didn't miss anything. There's a lot of tags up here. There was one that I forgot that I saw. Let me see if I can find it. Good. No, it was actually after that. One moment for me, please. Disagree. Oh, gosh. Come on. Oh, here we go. Do you often venture to Austin, Texas to get kosher food? Cocoa food? The answer to that is no. The only time we go there to get kosher food, and when I say kosher food, we don't eat pork, shrimp. We don't eat catfish. We don't eat the obvious unkosher animals species, but we don't eat kosher per se either, according to halakha, because as most of you are aware, eating kosher has a lot more to do than with just the type of species that you're talking about. And so during times like Pesach or something like that, if we're doing a mock seder or something here, then I would make it a point to go get kosher chickens or whatever it is that we're going to eat there. But no, it's a big journey, and again, we're not obligated to eat kosher, even though we don't eat unkosher animals, because I don't think I would ever go that route per se. But so that's just a short answer. Let's see, what was that? Oh, actually, that was way earlier, because I just saw something that I already answered here. What do you watch for me? No, I did that already. Okay, here we go. Ryan Coyne. He says, I don't really understand the notion of not having to convert to Judaism to be in good standing with Hashem. Could you please explain? Okay, so so all throughout the Torah, and even all throughout the Tanakh, there's places, and I can't quote them for you now. I don't have my chart with me or the memory to be able to recall them, but you'll recognize the places throughout the Torah where it talks about the commandments of Hashem. It says, "Speak to the children of Israel and tell them." Not speak to the nations or speak to the other witness, but specifically speak to the children of Israel and tell them to do this, right? And so the idea of, I see your question. The answer is clear in my head. I'm not sure I can answer you clearly, like all at once, but just in an overall answering process would be, for a person to be considered a Noahide or a righteous Gentile, if you will, you have to first, you can't be an atheist and be a Noahide, for example, or you can't be an atheist and be a righteous Gentile just because you're not in idolatry. You have to confess that Hashem is the creator. You have to understand there's only one God, and it is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that brought the Israelites out of Egypt. That you have to know and you have to believe in, right? Secondly, if you know and believe that, then you have to submit your decision making to the Torah. And in the Torah, there are things where, and you can find them. It's easier to go straight to a source where the research has already been done for you, and then cross-reference them. I don't think anybody should just take anybody's word for it per se. They should always study it out themselves, as all of the rabbis will tell you the same thing. But you are obligated as a Noahide to do these things, and if you are doing these things, then you do have your part in the world to come. And that's a simple answer. There's a much more complex answer that I don't think I could even give you. I would have to go and probably represent that. Matter of fact, maybe that would be a good question for another show with Rabbi Singer or someone else. Shaw Brim, please explain the Jewish view of hell. Okay, we've done this on a couple shows before. It's in fact, it may be better for me just to post a link, because we went into great detail on that. Shabram, send me that question on email me at tanaktalkquestions@gmail.com, that exact question. And yeah, you're very welcome, Ryan. And I will actually paste a link, unless you're on Facebook. If you're on Facebook and we're friends, let me know who you are on your YouTube tag, and I'll paste a link for you for the. I think we've done 2 or 3 videos on that actually with way better answers than I could possibly give you. I'll just say it's not like the Christian view of hell, just like Satan. It's not like Christianity teaches at all. The whole entire New Testament idea is based around fear and tapping into your emotions, and so hell is not a central view or even close to it in Judaism at all. In fact, if you go and look through the Tanakh, you won't see many places at all that even mention anything like it. So, okay, you'll send an email. Okay, good. Israel meant to serve the nations. Let's see. Please explain. Oh, we just did that one. Rambam explains. It's not what was scrolling up on me while I read here. The Noahide must do so because God commanded them. That's good. Yeah, Mimi. That's Shmuel. Good answer. Okay, no need to naturalize nature. Naturalizing everyone and everything. Yeah, very true. Very true. Yeah. So anyway, I think we've pretty much covered everything, unless there's something asked, like I said, that is just not tagged where I can't just quickly see it. So there we go. So unless the phone rings in like the next 10 seconds, I'm just going to sit here twiddling my thumb with nothing to talk about. But I will say this. When you guys are dealing with people, there's no need to proselytize. Jews don't proselytize. People ask, well, why does Rabbi Singer have all these shows if he's not proselytizing? Because he's not proselytizing. He's there to answer questions. People come to him asking questions, and the show platform for that is specifically for that. So in this journey that we have, answer questions. Whenever someone asks you a question, that's the door open to drop your seed, just like I shared with Todd earlier on the phone. I believe it was Todd. What is the Jewish view of heaven? Very good. Coco Food says, what is the Jewish view of heaven? Again, the thing about Judaism is they don't spend a lot of time in the afterlife, positive or negative. It's the now. It's tikkun olam. It's repairing the world. It's how to live here as godly souls. So there's not a whole lot of coverage on that in the general sense of thing, unless you go into the oral law, oral Torah, and there's a lot there. So again, that topic as well, we have covered in depth with Rabbi Tovia Singer. Most of the random topics we cover is actually usually with Rabbi Singer. With Rabbi Michael Skobac, it's usually a specific topic, and it's going through the New Testament, one book, one letter at a time. So, yeah, there's one Jew in Alabama. I'm guessing that's Skeptical Jed. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Okay, cool. Thank you for the caller. Caller, welcome to the show. Please tell me your name and where you're calling from. Caller, you're live on the air.
Hi.
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 Hello.
Hi, my name's Hope, actually.
Hello, Hope. Welcome to the show.
I'm actually calling from Galveston.
Oh, nice. Nice. Do you have a question for me? Welcome to the show, by the way.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, did you get my other call that I think it was a while back with Tovia?
Did you leave
and
a...
I left a... Yeah, that's a voicemail.
Probably not, and I'll tell you why. The Ring Central number that you see on your screen right now, I literally get hundreds and hundreds of voicemails, and we rarely get to even a portion of them. So if we got it, it was by chance. So I'm really sorry we couldn't find it. It's probably still in there somewhere. I could probably find it, but unfortunately it would take me forever to sit down and go through one voicemail at a time to find it. If you want to just tell me what that question was, and I'll see if we can at least touch on it a little bit for you. Unless you had another question you called in for.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Anyways, in the voicemail that I did, I actually I had asked like an opinion question, or like what he thinks. It's pretty much about the talit, but I'm also going to be going into like a little bit deeper with the talit katan. Like I'm wondering like what is his opinion on women wearing the talit, and like what does he think? Like if no, why does he think that women should not wear it and
okay.
whatnot? Yes. then how do the other people that say no, how do they get that answer, and whatnot?
Well, the answer in short is that women are not required to follow time-sensitive commandments, and wearing a talit or the fringes, a zitziot, is something that is basically falls into the time-sensitive commandments and which means the women are not obligated to do so. Now, whether they're not permitted to or not, I know there's differing opinions on that. Rabbi Kaufman and I actually did a show on that, not that specific topic, but on the role of a woman and her role in Judaism and how that works. If you would like to send me that question via the email address I gave on the show, to knocktalkquestions@gmail.com, I will send you a video link with that. But be sure to include your question. Say, are women permitted to wear talit? Okay, so and then I'll give you the video link for that. Okay.
Okay. I also mentioned in the voicemail that a friend of mine actually had told me that the Torah itself includes both men and women with the cornered garment and whatnot, and so
right.
That was just a little thing.
Okay, good deal. Yeah, that'll be covered for sure in the video for you. Okay. Okay. Thank you for calling in. Bye bye. Okay, very good. Let's see. Read yourself. Okay, I don't know what that was. So, all right. So, am I planning to go on Israel soon? Cocoa food, there is nothing more that I would love. We tried to plan a trip, actually, a tour with Rabbi Singer and Tanakh Talk, but there just wasn't enough people interested. I've got to find at least 25 people who are willing to sign up to go to Israel before I can actually attend, for many reasons. But anyway, and we only had about 18 that said they were interested, but only 3 or 4 actually signed up. And so at the last minute, we actually had to cancel that trip. But hopefully one day soon, with or without a tour, I'll be going to Israel with my wife and family. That would be lovely. So that would be nice. So, Shmuel, I know you would sign up, brother. Okay, let's see. I can't help but to read all this stuff. I'm trying to get moving on, but that's okay. Shalom, shalom. Okay, so I guess if there's no more questions, I mean, if anybody's got just a specific question that they want me to answer about myself, or maybe about my wife, or anything at all, you've got about less than a minute, or unless the phone rings again. So. It's been a lot of fun, though. I've had a lot of good time walking with you and talking with you. I will say this regarding the show. Every Tuesday, we've got, like I said, I've got things booked up all the way till the end of September right now. However, I find oftentimes that whenever we go to do a speed test on their internet, that their internet speeds are not fast enough to do a recording. And so that person just has to get booted off until we can get them into a better scenario to where they can record. And oftentimes I don't know that until the very last minute. So what I'm going to do is, unless I'm working late or something like that, I will record every Tuesday night with the testimony, and then if the one's canceled, then we'll just do like we did tonight, and we'll just do a call-in, just chit chat, Q&A, whatever you want to call this. And I don't mind doing that at all. So, would I consider myself an Orthodox Noahide? That is a great question, and the answer to that would be yes. Meaning that, and people are wondering, what is an Orthodox Noahide? I'm assuming what your question is, and I'm going to answer it based on my assumptions. So, meaning, do I believe in the Orthodox teaching on what a Noahide is and what they're allowed to do? And the answer is yes. Everything about the way I think is very much Orthodox. It's which means I believe in the oral Torah, which really is an obligation anyway, to even be called a Noahide, because that's kind of where the idea is actually expressed, is in the oral law. So you can't just say I'm a Noahide and then reject all the Noahide laws and reject what the rabbis teach on it, because to even believe you're a Noahide, you have to first accept what the rabbis teach on it, the Orthodox rabbis. So there you go. Okay, thank you, Anthony. It's been fun. I enjoy the questions. I love having the spontaneous questions that I don't like script, and y'all probably see that every show that I do on a Tuesday night. I don't have a scripted questions to ask people. It's just whatever comes to my mind at the last minute. that's the question I ask. And sometimes I feel like I'm shortchanging you guys. Perhaps I should make the show an actual call-in show. So we'll see about doing that next time. So caller, welcome to the show. Please tell me your name. Where are you calling from?
Oh, hi, I'm Jackie.
Hi, Jackie. Welcome to the show. Do you have a question for me?
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I do. What about the folks that consider themselves Israel? They're part of a Messianic community, but they consider themselves Israel, and they follow a lot of the laws of Jewish folks.
Okay, what is your question?
Is,
very good. Sorry.
Sorry, are they part of Israel?
Here's the thing. You have Jewish people who are Jewish by blood. Some of them know this.
Mm-hmm.
For them to, from what I've learned from the rabbis is, if you're a Jew, an actual DNA Jew, you can prove this through your mother's DNA bloodline, and they're a Jewish person, and they are in idolatry. They would still have to, once upon leaving idolatry, they would still have to go through a conversion. Now, it wouldn't be as intense as it would be for someone who was not. It would depend on their level of involvement. Like for example, there's people in the diaspora where the child was raised and actually preaching, and their whole entire life was dedicated to Christianity, and they find out when they're like 55 years old that they're Jewish, and now they want to change. Mm-hmm. Well, they've already got 50 plus years of ingrained Christianity in them that's going to be really hard to shed. So each rabbi will deal with each case independently on that. Now, the whole idea of the Messianic, I'm almost feeling like your question may be more like, if they're Messianic Jews, could they be on the right path too, like with some allowances? And the general answer to that is no. Definitely not, because in fact they're probably going to be worse off than the Christian church is, and the reason why is because it's kind of like the swine, the pig, right? One of the reasons why the pig is so out there and like one of the worst things that you could really get him, be involved in eating or handling. Just the way the pig is in general, its nature is, it lays down. When it lays down, it puts its hooves out in front of him to show you the split hooves, right? It's almost like, look at me, I'm kosher. I got split hooves. But realistically, the pig is unkosher, right? And so Messianics kind of do that same thing. They're like, see, look at me. We keep all the laws of Judaism, and we keep the proper Shabbat. We keep Passover. We eat kosher. We do all this stuff. We wear a tzitzit. We wear the yarmulke and all this other stuff. But they still are steeped in Christianity because they believe in the same Messiah. Now, they say it's not the same because the name's different and it stands for different things. But at the end of the day, you can't have a dying, saving man God and be considered part of Israel. It just doesn't work that way. So that was probably a very general answer, and I don't know if that even answered your question. If it did, great. If it's not, you can feel free to clarify.
Okay, sorry, I'm not always that clear either. No,
That's
it's
okay.
just the folks that are part of Messianic, if you want to call it Judaism, I call it Christianity because it is very similar to Christianity.
Right.
But they are non-Jews, and they, like you were saying, consider themselves
the replacement
Israel,
theology, basically. Yeah. Yeah, that's very sad, and it's very hurtful because it's really funny. I can look back on my life and I can say I don't feel ever embarrassed for being a Christian because I came by it. It just didn't. Thinking back, it doesn't make me feel yucky. I'm just glad I'm out. But when I think back to when I was a Messianic, it makes me really feel ill in my stomach. Like I can't believe I ever even went there. That was now. Granted, it was a stepping stone for me, and had it not been for Messianic faith, Messianic walk, I may have taken a lot longer to get to where I'm at. But I don't know that for sure. I just know that when I think about me being a Messianic, it really makes me sick in my stomach even now. Maybe it's because I have too many ties to it, or whatever the case may be. But people who are impersonating Jews, and they think that they're the true Israel, that they're severely misguided. In most cases, it is that they're misguided by their people that they learn from. But at the end of the day, they're definitely not part of Israel. Definitely not. There's this as much as they would like to think so, as much as they'll try to prove it to you and say, but and here's why, the Jews were blinded and all this other nonsense. It's all mushkanat. So it's all crazy. It really is. So yeah, it's unfortunate.
Thank you for that.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
It is. Thank you so much.
You bet. Thanks for calling in.
Okay. Bye-bye for now.
Okay, great. Let's see. Well, you guys are y'all are just hanging in there, man. I figured y'all would be dropping like flies by now. Okay, so let me see if I missed anything. Okay. Very good. Very good. Sorry. I can't talk and read at the same time. If I do, it won't make sense. I won't see what's going on. Wannabeism. That's funny. In Hebrew, the pig, this is Shmuel, Mimi. I'll read this off before I take the call. Okay, so Mimi on Shmuel on YouTube says in Hebrew, where'd it go? Scrolling up. The pig is called chazir, right? The word is related to the word chazor, which means return. There's a specific reason for this. Cool. I'm sure he'll clarify soon. Caller, welcome to the show. Please tell me your name. Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Hope again. I
Sure.
have a quick question for you.
Certainly. Go ahead.
So, how did you give up policy? How did you do it? How would you recommend other people on how to do it? Because I've actually, ironically, I've actually always been interested in the Talit since I was really young, either early middle school or late elementary. And so far, I've kind of ran into issues of wanting to try and keep kosher, it's just a simple way of doing it, not eating pork, eating chicken, but staying away from the unclean foods. And some family members and other various people would be like, well, you're not Jewish, so you don't have to do that. And there's even one time where I trying to keep a stricter version of what I already do via Lent, and that didn't work. And also as is if I were to go to a synagogue and wear my talit katan on the outside of my clothes, I would be upsetting two different groups of Jewish people currently. Just the Jews themselves, because I'm not Jewish, never had a bat mitzvah, and then there's other Jews that would be mad at me just because I would be a woman, and so I'm trying to convert, or at least try to get onto that process. So do you have any sort of tips and stuff? And I've been raised up. I'm actually kind of I'm the only one that actually went to church in my house. I actually went to church every Sunday and stuff. And actually, ironically, when I first went to get my first talit, my aunt wanted a better reason than that it's cool and I want it. So I wound up doing research. I found out that Jesus did not do away with the laws. He actually taught to keep the laws. He told his disciples to not make a new religion for themselves. And then so I found out all this stuff, and then so it just kind of snowballed from there. And 2014 I actually started going to a synagogue that's close to my house. It's actually been there way before I was born, which is really cool.
Wow.
Awesome, and stuff. They're so welcoming there and stuff. And yeah.
Just real quickly, is the synagogue that you are able to attend to, is it? Do you know what class it is? Is it Orthodox or is it Reform or Conservative? Do you know?
Yes, it's Reform. Here in Galveston, there's only two, and one of them is not doing very well anymore. There's Reform, which is CBI, and CBJ, which is, I think, conservative. It used to be two Orthodox synagogues that were on the island, and they merged together, and then I think at some point they became conservative.
Okay.
So if anything, that'll be the next best bet. But they're not by my house. But the Reform people, I think they're really good. They pretty much keep, from what I can see, all of the laws as far as I can see.
Okay, so don't hang up just yet. Okay, so from what I'm hearing so far is you're concerned about what the Orthodox teaching is on the Talit for a young lady, and so for you to be concerned with it or thoughtful of it, that means that you're not at peace with it right now, right? So I'm just assuming. Okay, so what I would say would be is, and this would be my advice if you were my daughter or my sister, whatever the case may be, I would advise you to not wear your Talit anywhere. If you feel like you want to wear it and you want to do it at home, fine, tomato, but in a setting where where the ruling would be currently, where women don't wear tallits, I would certainly leave it at home. One thing I'll tell you that I think was whenever you started feeling this pull out of the church, and you see this tallit, it's a beautiful thing. It's a Jewish thing. It's like you're drawn to it. It's the first thing you see, one of the first things you see, and you just want to be a part of it. So my recommendation would be to be aware of the fact that that's not the only thing that's out there that's going to excite you. Now, you found that first thing, and it's just so fascinating to you. But keep in mind, certain things are permitted for certain wardrobes. Like, for example, actually, just let me move forward. As you move forward, you're going to find out that there are other things that Hashem expects of women that's going to satisfy that need for you to get closer to Hashem, right? You don't need to have that tallit to give you that peace of mind, right? So until you research it out further, I would definitely recommend don't wear it in public anywhere, because my understanding of it is within Orthodoxy is that women don't wear tallits. So and if you're concerned about it, then like I said, your thoughts have already been there, kind of wondering. So it's good to be there. It's good to be in a place where you're open-minded. You want to know what the overall ruling would be. Okay. Now regarding the other questions you had with eating, what's my recommendations on eating kosher and things like that. I would say for me, like I said, we don't eat kosher halakhically, meaning we don't buy kosher beef per se that's got a kosher stamp on it, because we don't have access to it. But we do avoid eating the things that are unclean, like pork and shrimp and shellfish and things of that nature. Even so. If you feel drawn to eat kosher because it is healthier, personally, I think that the New Testament actually did not promote eating unclean. I've seen all the arguments, and that's why I ended up Messianic, because I understand what they're saying, and I understand how they came to the conclusions in the New Testament, and I really strongly believe that they're right in that regard. So. Which is why we chose a long time ago to eat kosher, well, technically kosher, and that's where we've stayed, and we probably won't ever return. So, for you, if you feel like compelled, like you want to convert to Judaism, I can't advise you without telling you my recommendation, and my recommendation that I'm going to tell you right now is to don't do anything but Orthodox if you're going to do it at all. And I've got many reasons for that, but I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying that would be my guidance for you on that. And if you do somewhat agree with that, then you just need to follow their guidelines on how to do each step and at what level. So, but just remember, as a non-Jew, you're not obligated to eat kosher. If you want to, eat catfish or whatever, you can. It's not a mark against you. If you were already Jewish, it would absolutely be a mark against you, right? So, anyway, that's about all I've got for you on that. Does that sound okay?
Yeah. I also kind of want to share with you some things right quick, like kind of like about me, so you kind of know more about me, and if you want to revise some of your advice, you can.
Yeah, sure. Context is great.
Okay, so yeah, I've been going to CBI for like a couple of years now. There was a while back where my aunt did not allow me to go, but I've pretty much gone for basically years worth. I've been able to see most of the high holidays and stuff.
Okay.
I love Shabbat. I love some of the different songs. There's like wil'Liam, and other various songs that are sung during Shabbat that I love, and that time that my aunt did not allow me to go. Yeah, I actually experienced like how most people would say, if you don't, you leave Jesus for a while, you'll feel like there's an empty place in your soul. I've never really exactly felt that from not going to church, but with not going to the synagogue compared to not going to church, not going to the synagogue is a whole lot more worse. Like, I actually felt that part of me wasn't there when I didn't go.
That's cool.
And
that's
so,
cool. Have you ever thought about Hope? Have you ever thought about doing a DNA test just to see what your family has in your bloodline?
Not really, but my sister did a DNA test from this one thing. So I think what I might do is, since it's not that much money, I might go and get that and get that done and stuff, and see. No matter what that DNA test says, I I actually do believe I actually do believe that my spirit may possibly be Jewish because I've been interested in this Jewish this Jewish prayer ritual for God knows how many years, and then going to the Shabbat service, and then really liking that, and really
Nice.
falling in love with it. I've also adjusted my prayers too because a while back in high school, I had to start praying at some point because I needed protection from God. So I did that. Then around 2015 or so, about the same time that I started going to the synagogue, I swapped God for Adonai, and Yeshua
Right.
and stuff, and then that gave me better protection. But there was at some point where I was having these dreams where literally make me physically move. There was one time where I got up out of my bed, and one day it just became one too many, and I got fed up with it. So I went over to the synagogue because I was going to go and talk to the rabbi anyways, and then so I wound up getting a mezuzah. I put that on my door, and that definitely eventually helped out a lot. So instantly, the Hebrew helped out a whole lot more than Christian. And as a matter of fact, that mezuzah helped out so much that I've actually,
Very good.
for quite a while now, I've stopped doing prayers in Yeshua's name. I've also realized that from the Torah, and also thanks to Tovia Singer, I've realized that Jesus is not really exactly like God himself, but I still have that fear of hell because I've been raised up Christian. I've been I went I'm pretty much the Christian. I would go to church every single day if at all possible. But yeah, I've now realized that God did not permit the consumption of animal blood even. So what makes human blood
Right.
a better option? And then also humans are not supposed to be sacrificed. God literally says that that's an abomination and stuff.
Well, here's what I would recommend. Just with your future decisions that you make, since and it does sound like you are a really good candidate for converting to Judaism. If it's really driving you to the point where you just can't stop, you probably should convert to Judaism. I mean, that's what I would tell people. If it's just all you think and you can't release yourself, not that you would want to, but if it just still stays with you, then you probably should. So with that said, find out from wherever you go, your rabbi that's actually going to be overseeing you, and ask them what it is that your questions are on each individual item and get their advice on it, because realistically, when you have a rabbi, that's the one you really should ask anyway. I've actually heard some rabbis even answer that way. Somebody called in and say, hey, well, can I do this? Can I do that? And the very first question the rabbi I was hosting asked him and said, well, what does your rabbi tell you to do? So it's kind of one of those things. They have a territorial thing as well. So, well, Hope, thank you so much for calling in, and I wish you all the best. Shalom, shalom.
All right. Thank you, and I'm also probably going to share this video with my rabbi friend because I pretty much spilled out a whole lot more than what I probably might have been able to tell him before. But
that's
I'm
great.
definitely going to be sharing this with him.
You go right on ahead. That'll be great. Okay, thanks, Hope.
All right.
Shalom.
Have a great day. And if you ever come down to Walmart in Galveston, I usually fold up clothes in the apparel section. So if you ever need any help around there, I can probably try and help you out and stuff.
Well, that's very kind of you. That's very kind of you.
Yeah, I actually got to get back to work now.
Okay.
So I'll see you guys later.
Take care. Bye bye. That's awesome. Okay, cool. Let's see if there's any comments up here that we've been missed over real fast. Let's see. If you scroll back, you'll see the end of my response about the pig. I think I'll do that, sir. Let me back on up here. Looks like somebody on here needs to... guys, I'm not able to monitor chat, so if there's inappropriate things going on, I do apologize. I will say if you're using foul language, you can pretty much bet you're going to be blocked. Yeah. So John B, unfortunately, just got blocked. He was being very, very inappropriate. I love it when people come to my channel. I'm not being sarcastic. When people come to Tanakh Talk and they're on here and they debating back and forth, that's perfect. I'm not going to hide your comments. I'm going to let you talk. I'm going to let you do whatever you want to. But when you become disrespectful on this channel, we have no place for that. So just keep it clean. I mean, be nice to people, and that goes for the Torah tots too. I mean, you guys, be nice to the people coming in as Christians. You have to understand a lot of people are on, they're right there on the balances, not sure which way to go. And this could be one of the deciding moments for them. And if you're too rude to them or too harsh to them, it's going to be a big turnoff. I mean, we're here to be a light to the nation. So, so just kind of, keep that in mind, please. So hello, Andrea. You're very welcome. And Mia, I saw something by Mia. Where are you? Where'd Mia go? No, I deleted the comment myself. And okay, so I think you can hide a comment from you seeing it, but it's still public. If a comment has to get deleted, it's got to be either through a moderator or me or whoever's actually at the master desk. Okay, cool. So I do appreciate you guys pointing that out because I had no idea that was going on. So I'm trying to find. Okay, here we go. Shmuel said about the pig. Here's the reason is because the future pig. See, I've heard that. I'm not sure about all that. I'd have to look into that one for sure. We've talked about that before a couple times, and I'm still unclear on it. So keep on the Derek, ya heathens. Who are you talking to, Big Joe? Let's see. Keep on the Derek. I know what that means, but who are the heathens you're talking to? Probably me. Okay, cool. Modificate me. Oh, okay. I'll keep them in line, the Blues Man. You guys are awesome. So, okay. It is, what time is it now? I don't even know what time it is. It's been so much fun. 9:45. So we're at an hour and 45 minutes almost. And I'm going to go and edit this video because I think the first 5 minutes I was trying to figure out why it wasn't streaming. And I think I know why. The internet speed was too low and it kicked it off of YouTube. I'm sorry, on Facebook. And I tried to restart it, but it didn't go through. So that's all right. So, there's another one. Do you think Alex Jones is an anti? Alex Jones. I've heard the name before. I'm sorry, but I don't know who that is, to be honest with you. I'd have to look it up. I really don't have any clue. So that, I guess, he's an opportunist. Well, that explains a lot. Okay, good deal. That's funny. Okay, guys, I guess I'm going to probably call it a night. Like I said, it's been fun. And to double clarify, any future shows that let me log out here. That way it doesn't ring while I'm talking. Okay, so the phone lines are actually closed. I should change that now so you don't think it's still open in just a minute. So every Tuesday night where we don't have an actual interview, it fails through, we'll treat it like tonight. I'll just have it like a call-in, Q&A with William sort of a thing. So it has been fun. I really enjoyed it, and I love seeing your questions. And I also love referring you out when I don't know the answers. It's a good thing I have a place to do that for. So, but that's about it, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. And again, sorry for the cancellation last minute, but that's just the way it goes, man. So we'll have to catch you guys again next week, same time, same place. And I hope you guys do well. If you guys want to help me out on this whole studio venture and the Tanakh Talk financing, man, I'd really appreciate it because it could get overwhelming from time to time. So anyway, until later, you guys have a great week. Rest of your week. We'll see you. We'll see you guys a little later. Shalom, shalom, everybody. Take care.
חשוב מכל חשוב והכרחי להיות ביחד איפוק זו העוצמה ויתור זו הגדולה השאיפה והכמיהה אני אתה אתם תמיד תמיד כולם ביחד חשוב מכל חשוב והכרחי להיות ביחד איפוק